Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bosk's Bounty video, and welcome to my review of the Star Wars The Vintage Collection, Moff Gideon in his Dark Trooper armour from Season 3 of The Mandalorian. So as far as I'm aware, this is an all new figure. It's newly tooled and it is included in the same wave as Crosshair, Night Sister, Merrin, Cobb Vanth and the Rocket Trooper. I'm pretty sure at the time recording this video I've only reviewed Crosshair, so the others will be coming up on the channel in the very near future. If you do enjoy this review, this video, hit the like button down below, subscribe if you are new, and let's take a look at that card back. Alright then, so here is the card back for Moff Gideon in his Dark Trooper armour, and I quite like the image that they've gone with there. I think it's a good image of him. I'm pretty sure that's actually taken straight from the show as well. That looks to be just before his showdown with the Mando and Bo-Katan and what have you. And there he is in the bubble. They've gone for the red name pill once again with the panel behind the figure. What other colour could they have gone for, really? He looks great there. That really does pop. And in this video I will be comparing this Moff Gideon versus the previous version that we have in the line. I don't really know if there's much point in doing that, but I think it's good to have them standing next to each other so you can see the differences. But essentially, you know, he's wearing, you know, Dark Trooper armor in Season 3. And also, this one does not have a removable helmet or a swappable head. And we will get into that later on in the video when we're taking a look at the figure out of the package. But there you can see in the bubble, he also comes with a side blaster, his little staff there with the electric effects on the end there. On the back of the card, he is VC368 in the line. There's a little bio about him. And there you can see the figure and the card back there. And you can also see that he does have soft goods, very much like the previous Moff Gideon that came in the rescue set. So maybe that is the only part of this figure that is a reuse. We will compare that element. But there you go, that's the card back. So we might as well just open him up and check it out. Alright then, so here is Moff Gideon in his Dark Trooper armour out of the packaging, and my first impressions of the figure are that it's a great figure. It really is. I really do like this figure. I think they've done a pretty decent job. Obviously there are going to be a few issues with it which we will come on to, and as I was taking the figure out of the packaging I just got a little bit worried for a couple of seconds that they've actually reused the legs from the original Dark Trooper, but then I got the Dark Trooper out of my cabinet and 100% they haven't. I was worried that they'd use the same upper thigh or something like that, but they really haven't. To me, this looks like an all-new figure. And maybe we should now talk about the sort of helmet situation, because of course, as I mentioned, this figure does not include a swappable head, and that helmet is also not removable. Now, I remember when they revealed this figure, and I mentioned that in my reveals video, quite a few people in the comment section said, oh, that's okay, we can just take off the previous head of Moff Gideon from the previous figure and put it on this figure. Unfortunately, I do believe that the pins that they use on this one and the previous one are not the same. We will attempt that later on. But also, it would actually be inaccurate to the source material, because Moff Gideon looked quite different in Season 3 to the previous seasons. He didn't have a moustache for a start, and his hair was a little bit different as well. So I personally wouldn't really want to be doing that because it would be inaccurate. However, saying that, I really do feel that they should have included the swappable head in with this figure. Of course, that is going to jack up the price, and that's probably why they haven't done it. But you know, it does feel a little bit incomplete without that swappable head, so you could display him when he's not in fighting mode and he hasn't got that helmet on. So a little bit disappointing from that respect, but in terms of the overall look of the figure, it looks really good. It looks fantastic, in fact. And let's take a closer up look at the details. All right, very quickly before we take a look at the figure, let's just look at the main accessory, which is his like electro staff thing here. It's a silver piece of plastic. It's quite thin. It is quite bendy. You get some black paint applications on there. I believe that's obviously where you can hold it maybe. And then also you get the electro effect, which can be removed. All right then, so here is a close-up look at Moff Gideon in that armor there, and you can see the armor is very reflective, very much like the Dark Trooper itself. Of course, this is Dark Trooper armor, so you would expect that, and you can see it really reflecting off the lights there. But you can see the detail on that helmet there, the red visor and the red flashes on the front there. And then if we just turn it around, not too much going on the back there, but you do have those horns at the top. On his armor, we have some red detailing going over his shoulders, a red little readout going on there, and then some red flashes on his belt. You can see the little silver belt buckle there as well. He does have a side holster for his blaster. Do have the blaster in there at the moment. We'll take a look at that in a second. And that is on a sort of soft vinyl plastic piece that just hangs down on his leg. There's the leg armour. So I'd say, you know, very reminiscent of the Dark Trooper armour, of course, because this is his version of the Dark Trooper armour. And I think that's pretty cool. Of course, in Season 3, he didn't really have the Dark Troopers anymore, did he? He had the Imperial Troopers in the white armour, and he had a lot of those guys. So if you've managed to pick up a few of those, then obviously you're going to be wanting to display this guy with those. On the back there, he does have a jetpack. Now, this jetpack, because it has to go through the material, is a little bit loose. It has fallen out on occasions for me. And the little peg there is actually placed quite near the top, and it's a curved piece, obviously for that armour. So it just like plugs in on the back, and it is secure, but as I say, it is just ever so slightly loose, and you can see the hole in the material there to allow for that peg to go through there. So there it is. Just see some of the details on there. Obviously, it's just a shiny black piece of plastic because it is, you know, in the same style as his armour. But yeah, he looks pretty decent, does he not? He looks great. I know the Season 3 of The Mandalorian, in my opinion anyway, you know, it went down a little bit in terms of the standard. I don't think it was as good as the first 2 seasons. But having said that, I did give it a rewatch, and I enjoyed it a lot more on second viewing as opposed to the first time that I watched it. Second viewing, yeah, enjoyed it a little bit more. But, you know, there is Moff Gideon Season 3 in his Dark Trooper armour. Right, let's very quickly just bring in the previous Moff Gideon that we have, and we'll just do a very quick comparison. Alright then, so there are the 2 Moff Gideons. We will try and remove that helmet in a second and place that head on. I don't think it's going to work, but we'll give it a go anyway. And there you can see the differences in the armour. You know, obviously it makes him a lot more bulky than the previous armour that he had. Previously he had almost like an officer's uniform with something very similar to what the officers like, you know, Veers and things like that would have. A little bit different, but quite similar as well. And actually the capes are actually completely different. They're just the same in terms of their red and black. Red on the inside, black on the outside, but this one's a completely different shape. And obviously this one has to include the hole as well to allow for that jetpack. But yeah, I'm just looking. They are pretty much the same height. Obviously the helmet and the sort of upper armour makes him look a bit more bulky and a little bit taller. But obviously it's the same guy. So there you go. Yeah, so as I mentioned, the pins are completely different for the helmet and the head of Moff Gideon. So here is the head from, Season 2 rescue set. So maybe we can just sort of place that on there just to give you an idea of what he would look like. So there you go. I mean, I guess you could probably get away with it. But as I said, in Season 3, he didn't have his moustache and his hair was slightly different as well. But, you know, in case you're wondering, that's potentially what you could do with it. Man, I seriously regret taking those heads off those figures. It took absolutely ages to get them back on. But there you go. That is his little blaster from his holster, and it is the same blaster that came with the previous Moff Gideon. So there's the reuse for this particular release. All right, so in terms of articulation, the head is on a barbell. Finally got the head back on. Lots of range of motion there. Really good hinges on the shoulders. You do need to be a little bit careful when you move that arm all the way around because it does want to take that shoulder piece with it, and you just got to be careful that you don't sort of stretch that piece of plastic that's holding it in there. I wouldn't do that too many times if I was you. We have a hinge at the elbow. That's about 90 degrees, and then we have the torso joint. Lots of range of motion on that one, and let's just see if we've got a waist swivel as well. No waist swivel, but we do have the barbell hips. We do have a split at the thigh, which is hidden by the armour. Let's see how good these knee joints are. Knees go a little touch past 90, and then we've got rocker ankles as well, which is standard these days. So there you go. If you're just wondering how the cloak is attached, very similar to the previous Moff Gideon. It's just on elastic around the arms there. So if you wanted to, you could probably take that off as well. But I'm not going to be bothering to do that. Let's get that jetpack back in. There we go. Great looking figure. So there you go then, guys. That is Moff Gideon in his Dark Trooper armor, and I've just got him next to one of the Imperial Troopers, just so you can see for, you know, scale, height differences, things like that. It's definitely making me want to open a few more of this guy. I really do hope that they do an Army Builder 4-pack of those, because I don't really want to be buying, you know, 5, 6, 7 deluxe versions of that figure. So hopefully there'll be a, you know, an Army Builder 4-pack for us to grab at some point in the future. But, you know, if you're into these guys, then you need the leader. You need Moff Gideon in his Dark Trooper armor, and it's a cool figure. It really is. I'm glad they've released it, and yeah, happy to have it in the line. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and channel members. As always, your support means a great deal to me, so thank you so much, and we shall see you on the next one.